You're listening to episode 107 of the Play Therapy Community Podcast.
Welcome to Play Therapy Community Podcast, providing connection, information, and inspiration to child therapists all around the world. Here's your host, a licensed psychotherapist, a registered play therapist, and my mom, Jackie Flynn.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Play Therapy Community Podcast. I love meeting with you like this. At the time of this recording, I'm in Niagara, Canada. Today was the last day of the New York APT conference, and it was incredible. Lisa Dion was the presenter, and I had a chance to spend some time with Ann Beckley Forrest and Annie Monaco, and all of the people up here are just so welcoming and just wonderful people to be around. So if you ever get a chance to come to this conference, I highly recommend it. It was so fun and just so wonderful to learn some stuff that I can use in my practice right away. I want to tell you a little bit about Ann Beckley Forrest play therapy training before we get started. She, one time in another podcast episode that you can listen to before this, was telling me about what a big heart that she has for training people that are just getting started out in the field of play therapy. And she's quite the trainer. I had a chance to attend her registered play therapist supervisor RPTS training, and it was really good. It was more of a kind of evaluate where we're at, the areas we feel strong in, where we need to grow, and then we had some connection time where we did some sand tray activities. It was incredible. So check out Ann Beckley Forrest. I think it's just her name, AnnBeckleyForrest.com, for some play therapy training. You definitely will get some good quality training there. All right, I'm excited about this episode with Dr. Robert Jason Grant. He is incredible, and you'll hear him when we have the conversation. He is definitely someone that will go down in history as changing the world with his AutPlay. I've learned a lot from him, and recently, at the time of this recording, he was a guest, an expert speaker at our Neuroscience of Play Therapy Summit. And there was this incident with this bird's nest. It was crazy. So if you ever see him, ask him about the bird's nest. He's really go with the flow, and he's a dynamic speaker, and he went above and beyond there, and he had us doing experiential activities, so many cool things. All right, so I'm going to just jump right into today's conversation, and I'll catch you later. Well, hey, Dr. Grant, I want to thank you so much for being on the Play Therapy Community Podcast. I'm a huge fan of yours. I love the work you're doing. I love your resources. You have like the best YouTube channel ever. I love, love, love when you put out new videos. And I know at the time of this recording, you just published another book, which is exciting. But we're going to talk about like your life's work in this episode. But before we get started, let me have you just tell people who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie. I'm a podcast geek. I just love doing a podcast. I don't know why, but I like them. So I'm just happy to be here talking about anything. Just talk about the weather and do a podcast. I am a licensed professional counselor and a registered play therapist supervisor. I have a clinic that I own and operate, the AutPlay Clinic, where I work with children and families, primarily neurodivergent children. And I am the founder of this framework, if you will, called AutPlay Therapy that you mentioned, which is really about integrating play therapy to be affirming and work with children and adolescents who are neurodivergent. And I train and speak and write and things like that. And currently I'm on the board of directors for the Association for Play Therapy.
Yes, APT. You're doing so much. You're doing so much to help us. And I know there's a lot that we don't know what we don't know. So I think you creating the book and creating the training and we just finished up with recording for the fourth annual Innovative Child Therapy Symposium, where we were really just kind of delving into kind of like the importance of working in the scope of practice, being able to, if we're going to work with neurodiverse clients, to be able to have the skill, the knowledge base. Could you talk a bit about like AutPlay, AutPlay therapy, and just kind of give us like a bird's eye view of what it entails, and if someone wants to get trained in it, what would that take?
Yeah. So, alt play therapy, officially, I guess the definition would be an integrative family play therapy framework that is got this foundation or base in what we call the neurodiversity paradigm, which is basically understanding neurodivergence, as an identity and implementing neurodiversity affirming practices when you work with neurodivergent clients. And then the framework that we work under and around is play therapy, the modality. And so that could be any play therapy theory or approach, right? Or usually an integration of more than one that we're bringing together to work with this sort of individual neurodivergent client the way that it's going to serve them the best. And then always just landing that play therapy theory approach intervention on that foundation of being neurodiversity affirming. That's sort of what it looks like in application. And then we consider alt play a family play therapy approach because we are trying to involve parents, caregivers, other family members. Just believe that that's really important, that family system. That can look a lot of different ways in the alt play framework. Sometimes it's more intensive, sometimes it's less. Sometimes it's one parent, sometimes it's the whole family. A lot of that, again, just depends on that individual client and what their needs are and who they are as a neurodivergent person, and then what seems to be the best fit in terms of the family involvement.
Oh, I love it. Over the years, it's definitely there's a lot of research on it and everything. But it's really nice to be able to kind of have access to some just ways of working with families because it impacts, the whole family as a system.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
good.
And you mentioned the book.
Yes.
There's been more than one book, but the most recent book that just came out at the end of 2022, the AutPlay Therapy Handbook, is this comprehensive handbook. And that was the goal. Like, let's put something together that really somebody could pick up and read and be like, I really feel like I have a greater understanding now of what neurodiversity is, how you work with neurodivergent kids, how you use play therapy, that all of that is right there in just well put together, easy to follow and understand form in the AutPlay Handbook. And then there is a AutPlay therapy certification training. Reading the book is part of that training. But then there's in-person training experience, recorded webinar watching experience to really dive deep into how do you do this? I want to understand this better. And then, the certification comes along with that. It's kind of a nice extra bonus. That started years ago when there was just seemingly nothing happening in the world of play therapy or mental health therapy for autistic kids with developmental disabilities, children that we would put under that umbrella today of neurodivergent. There just wasn't anything happening. And I thought, this is a big miss. What's going on here? Why are we not providing therapy services to these kids and helping them with their mental health needs? They're not just a walking around behavior problem. I mean, there are mental health needs going on here, and we need to be serving them. For me, especially through play therapy,
Yeah.
the natural language of all children,
Yeah.
including neurodivergent children. So that's kind of how it all began, and just the passion to put these tools into the hands of child and play therapists around the globe
Oh,
so that you could feel confident and go work with and help these neurodivergent kids and their families.
it makes me think of that Mahatma Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. It sounds like that's exactly what happened. You've seen a need, you wanted something to be able to serve the neurodiverse population, and you created it. You created something amazing. I think about like the book. Um, the book to me seems like it's going to be like a staple in every child therapist practice, because I think it's not a matter of like I work with neurodiverse clients or not. I think even having that knowledge just to be able to work with any client that comes in, or families, and it can all be very very valuable, like information for us. So thanks
Yeah, it's really,
for writing.
thank you. And thank you because you gave me an early review of the book. And, I think it's hard to imagine that there's a child therapist out there that doesn't work with neurodivergent
Yeah,
kids, because there's so many neurodivergent children. And so it feels like it would be beneficial to everyone to have this book. Easy for me to say as the author, right?
mhm.
But it really does feel that way,
I
because
agree.
I used to say if you're not working with a neurodivergent child, it's because you must be turning them away
Yes,
at the door, because they're everywhere and there's so many. And so I feel like from that perspective, it is a great resource
yeah,
for a child and play therapists. It is a handy book to have right there on your bookshelf with your other books, because I know you are going to be working with neurodivergent children.
yeah. I think so too. When you say that, because you're turning them away, there's just such a level of despair when someone reaches out to you and they're like, I've tried to schedule for four other therapists, and they don't have a space, or they don't work with kids like mine. And that itself feels very lonely, desolate, and kind of perpetuates the just the suffering that's going on in the world. So I love, love, love that you put that out there. All right. We're almost out of time, but I want to make
Okay,
sure that people know where to go to learn more, maybe even to like get the training, or certainly buy the book.
sure.
What's your website or any information that you want?
Go-to source is definitely the website, and it's, of course, www.autplaytherapy.com, AUTPLAY therapy.com. Pretty comprehensive website. So I think there's just a lot of information that can be gotten right there. But all of our contact information is on the website. So if anybody has a question about something, they can just email or call the AutPlay clinic.
Excellent, excellent. We'll have that link and a link to your YouTube channel.
Yes,
And
thank you.
you have a great Facebook group too. Yeah, your Facebook group. Look at
Yes.
that. We
Yeah,
have
there
so
is
many
an
things like
AutPlay.
we forget to talk about.
I know, I forget about them. The AutPlay YouTube channel, the AutPlay Facebook group. Yes. I mean, I spend a lot of time in both of those spaces
Mhm.
producing content. So always happy to have people subscribe and join those as well.
And lots of writing. Seems like you're always writing something. Like,
Yes, I am.
well, thank you
It's
so
gonna have to
much,
stop
Dr.
sometime, but yes, I am.
Leaving your mark in the world.
Yes, I guess so.
Well, thank you, Dr. Grant.
Well, thank you, Jackie. I appreciate it.
Bye bye.